Robert,
Yo, what's shaking AC?
how are you? It's been a while since we've recorded a rant, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well. It's a wonderful, wonderful day here. It's so warm, which is so great to, get rid of the cold winter weather and everything's blooming and the cherry blossoms are out and you swimming and running and all this fun stuff. So I'm just doing fantastic. How are you doing? How was your week?
Well, first of all, is it making your heart sing?
Yes, of
It
course it
sounded
does.
like you should say that. It just sounded like it's the spring and then it made your heart sing. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
I
maybe I
dance
was
through like open green fields, like the sound of music, find a gazebo and jump around in there too.
okay, awesome. So yeah, so my week's been great. I have to say, it's been really awesome. Some of the conversations I've been having with people lately in my network that just reconnecting, that are curious and want to learn more about some of the updates for at AC Inc. And I think, there's a lot of different things going on that are contributing to that. Like we are sponsoring I think we talked about this in one of our last rants. We're sponsoring the FBR Summit in October, which is a field operations summit. We're a platinum sponsor and partnering for that. I think that's leading to some people curious, like, what's going on with AC Inc. So it's been really fun to get on conversations and update people about what we are up to. So that's kind of my highlight right now.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've like just looking at the franchise industry, there is this massive, massive, massive gap. And I say it's massive because I find it incredibly important. And you at AC Inc. have this like unique skill set and opportunity to fill this, but not only for the fruitfulness of your company, but to like tangibly really change franchising, like the entire industry. Like I'm not just saying this sort of like, like a buzzword. Like what you're doing is it's going to make waves. So I guess my question for you is like, why do you think that there's such a high demand for this now? Are people just waking up and being like, oh man, we have forgotten all about this? Who's doing it? Or is it just like the growth of your team? Or I guess I should ask, what is this gap that you're filling here? Why is it so
Yeah.
important?
Yeah. So I've always had a true passion for what goes on in the field. And I know you know that, but just that's where this all stems from, having been in the field myself back in the day, and then having been a franchisee and had various different people, quote unquote. When I say in the field, I just mean people supporting the franchisees, right? In between the franchisor and franchisees, like that person designated by the home office to go support franchisees, whether that's over Zoom or in the actual out in the field. So I've always had that passion. And so it's been really in the last year and a half that we've been able as a team to sort out and figure out what it is that franchisors need. So the gap is that franchisees are not getting the results from the field support that they should be getting and deserve. And so what we say is that we maximize the impact of field support. And so that's the gap, is that field support isn't doing what they wanted it to do, what franchisors thought it would do. Like they think, okay, I've got really good training. We got this person that, goes out and works with them at the beginning. They can call us. We've got, you've probably heard me say this a million times, but we've got a good training system that they can access all the time. But I think just the gap is that franchisors are going, wait, why isn't this working? Like it's just what happens at what happens at the beginning isn't helping them be successful.
Okay. Um, okay, so back to kind of the original question that I had here, right? Because I've been in franchising now for about 7 years, so I'm still a newbie, but I've never seen this in 7 years, and I mean, for anyone who's watching and listening to this, they might say, oh, I've kind of seen something like it. But because like I'm so intimately involved with your team and what's happening and knowing the trajectory, I can say with confidence, nothing like this exists. Like you do not have a single competitor. So why do you think like now everyone's waking up to it? Like nobody's done this in the past. Maybe it's because there's been nobody with the skill set or they haven't seen the opportunity, but why are franchisors now waking up to this?
Yeah, well, I think uh, that they're waking up because we're waking them up.
Okay.
I think because again, it's always been my passion when I started AC Inc. going, what can I bring to franchising that I learned in my years. And I didn't know whether anyone else was doing it. And there definitely are variations of what we're doing out there. But I just knew that was helping people figure out the field. How do we get franchisees, engaged with the person that's trying to help them be successful in their business? That's always been my passion. So I think that I just think it's always been an issue, and every franchisors have been trying to figure it out. And I think most people, the way that they approach it is by, well, what can we get for our franchisees? Well, maybe we can add some professional development for them, which is great too, by the way. That's just a different approach. We're saying, what if we got those people in the field some proper coaching and development so that they could do the job they need to do and create the results they need to create? And I don't know why people haven't caught on to that. I'm not sure. It shocks me that people think of that job as such a junior job. I mean, I was very junior when I was in that role and struggled a lot to get franchisees to listen to me. And I was fortunate to have, the credibility of being from the brand, that helps, but they're looking at me going, you don't have any business skills or like life experience for that matter. And I think that needs to change. I think that we can still send junior people out there if they're properly coached and trained. But I think also franchisors just focus so much on more units. How many units do we have in the system? That's the sign of how big we are. And that makes us look better. But like, if you have 100 franchisees and 70% of them are unhappy and would say, don't do this as they wouldn't validate, they would say, don't do this as an opportunity, then you got a big mess. Like I'd rather have 30 happy, profitable franchisees than 300, because you could probably be making more royalties off them if they're, really out there doing what they need to do and increasing their top line sales, and then obviously their profitability as well.
Yeah. As a franchisor, when I look at all the different, I'll say tools, for lack of a better word, that exist there, there's some that would apply to growing my franchisor like bundle, and then there's some that would apply to growing my franchisee bundle. So when I think about this franchisee bundle, a lot of these tools they're kind of like, they grow indirect revenue, like get this like software system that'll help them post easier on Facebook. Awesome. Indirect revenue. Let's get this like other software stack that'll do this. Let's get this introduction to this person. Let's partner with this vendor, to reduce costs or whatever. These are all great things because they help produce indirect revenue. And I think what a lot of people are now thinking of is, that's awesome. I've done that. I've spent that money. And sometimes it still isn't working. And it's because they haven't focused on the direct revenue support to the franchisees. And I think that field component of it like directly affects revenue. Like I say that with a bunch of exclamation marks and bold underline, direct, not indirect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And I think because the reason for all of that as well is because it takes time, money, and energy. Like it takes resources to invest in the person in the field or putting that person in place. And it feels like an easier fix to all those other things you mentioned. So, and because not only is it like time, money, and energy, it's the know-how. And that's what we've developed the answer to that. Like we have the curriculum. Here's how you coach and train a person to be a proper field coach. And here's what the coaching framework looks like. Here's the cadence. Here's how you have a coaching call. Here's how you find out their goals. Here's how you deal with the franchisee that doesn't want coaching. The legacy franchisee, the high performing franchisee that doesn't want to bother with that, but could actually level up even more if they accepted it. So I think that's the other thing is people put more energy in franchising on the sales side often. And we're like, no, we're going ops because we see the hidden profitability on that side.
You got to drill down. I could buy a software that helps me with field audits. I could do the field audits faster, more detailed, with better results, analytics, data, all that sort of stuff. And then I go to the franchisee and be like, this should help you improve. And that's where it stops. I need to get in there and now help deploy these results.
Yeah. And you know what? We need to get off this rant so that we can wrap it up.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Go be fun.